If you don't kill the weaker version of yourself today, he will bury you tomorrow, not metaphorically, not in some distant future, but slowly, quietly, relentlessly, with every excuse you repeat, every doubt you accept, every time you whisper, "That's just the way I am." The truth. You don't need anyone else to destroy your life. You're doing it yourself through procrastination, hesitation, and habits built on fear. The man you are right now, he wasn't born from strength. He was built by comfort, by delay, by the endless negotiation with mediocrity. And if you don't draw the line now, if you don't decide today to burn the script, he's going to keep showing up, taking your mornings, suffocating your purpose, stealing the man you were meant to become. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." But most never do, because they spend their lives wrestling with the ghost of who they used to be, instead of rising to become who they were meant to be. This isn't just another motivational video. This is a war room, and today, you're declaring war, not on the world, not on your enemies, but on the version of yourself that has overstayed his welcome. Let's kill him together. Go stand in front of a mirror, not to check your hair, not to judge your face, but to really look deeper. Look at the man you've been dragging from one day to the next, the one who says he wants more, but still clings to less. That man you're carrying isn't you. He's a ghost built out of fear, hesitation, comfort, and old stories you refuse to stop telling yourself. You say you want to grow, but growth means sacrifice. And if you're honest, you haven't been sacrificing much lately. You've been protecting your comfort, defending your routine. You've been making excuses sound noble. "I just need more time. I'm not like those guys. I'm waiting for the right moment." But let's call it what it is you're waiting, because it's easier than confronting what has to die. And what has to die is him, the overthinker, the procrastinator, the man who waits for motivation instead of building discipline, the man who delays decisions because he fears failure more than he desires progress. Every morning you wake up and carry him again, like dead weight strapped to your back. And the truth is, you've grown comfortable with him. He's predictable, safe, familiar. But you're not here to be comfortable. You're here to evolve, to become someone that version of you could never stand beside. So here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't need more advice. You need a funeral. You need to bury the part of you that's keeping you small. The beliefs that say you're not ready. The habits that feel good but leave you empty. The justifications that have turned into walls. Start here. Look that man in the eye, say goodbye, and don't apologize for letting him go. Because the life you want, it doesn't begin with becoming someone new. It begins with letting go of who you no longer wish to be. Let me ask you something hard. Have you ever looked in the mirror not just to check your appearance, but to confront the man you wish you were, and realized painfully that you're still not him? That gap between who you are and who you want to be, it stings. It's the ache of honesty, the shame of knowing you've outgrown your excuses, but you're still living in them. Most people run from that feeling. They hide behind pride. They spend years defending a version of themselves that's holding them back, because it's easier than admitting they haven't become the person they dream of being. They say things like, "I'm doing my best," or "This is just who I am." But deep down they know the truth. They're avoiding the pain of growth, because growth demands a toll. And the first payment is ego. You can't become a better man without first admitting you're not him yet. That means owning your past without using it as a shield. It means saying, "Yes, I've fallen short. Yes, I've wasted time. Yes, I've been afraid." And then standing up anyway. Most people won't do that. They're too attached to who they used to be. But you're here because some part of you is done with that story. So here's the challenge. Stop trying to look like you've got it all together. Start building the version of yourself you can actually respect. And understand, admitting you're not there yet isn't weakness. It's the beginning of power. Because once you admit what you want, you finally have a reason to fight for it. Here's your first real test, and it starts now. I want you to pause this video, grab a pen, and write down one trait that's been holding you back. Just one. Maybe it's procrastination. Maybe it's insecurity. Maybe it's that voice in your head always saying, I'm not ready. Now, next to it, write down its opposite. If your weakness is fear, write courage. If it's laziness, write discipline. If it's self-doubt, write self-belief. Then tomorrow, no hesitation, act like you are already that new version of yourself. Not next week, not after the next motivational video. Tomorrow, will it feel fake? Yeah. Will your body resist? Definitely. But that feeling, that discomfort, that inner friction, that's not a sign you're doing it wrong. It's proof that something old in you is dying. And that's exactly what needs to happen. Growth doesn't feel natural at first because you're stepping out of a role you've been playing for years. But roles don't define you. Actions do. So when your brain says this isn't you, you answer back, not yet, but it's who I choose to become. And that choice, repeated enough times, becomes your new identity. Remember, your transformation doesn't start when it feels good. It starts when it feels foreign, because you're not just learning something new, you're burying something old. This is your first strike in the war against your former self. Make it count. Let me ask you something real. Have you ever listened to that voice in your head? The one that whispers, you're not good enough, or you've always failed at this, that voice. It's not your friend. It's your prison guard. And every time you believe it, every time you say, I can't, or that's just who I am, you're casting a vote to keep the old version of you alive, the version that stays stuck silent, small. But here's the truth. No one told you. That voice isn't truth, it's habit. It's a script you've memorized from years of fear, failure, and false starts. It was never meant to define you. It was meant to test you. So how do you fight it? Like training a muscle through resistance, repetition, and ruthless honesty. That means catching the moment when you say something limiting and asking, is this real, or just rehearsed doubt, instead of saying, I can't say I'm learning. Instead of, this isn't me. Try, this is who I'm becoming. These aren't just affirmations, they're battle orders to your mind. You see, your identity is not fixed. It's forged one thought, one action, one brave step at a time. But it doesn't happen by accident. You've got to train your mind to obey your future, not your fear. It's going to feel unnatural at first, just like your first push-up, your first run, or your first hard conversation. But discomfort is the gym of the mind. It's where your old self weakens and your new self begins to breathe. So next time that voice whispers, you'll always be this way, you say, that's not your call anymore. And you keep moving forward, because that's where the real battle is, not out there, but right here between your ears, and you've got what it takes to win it. Let me tell you a secret most people never realize. You don't break old patterns just by thinking about them. You break them by acting in defiance of them. Every time you push back against that inner critic, every time you interrupt that old toxic narrative that says, I can't or I always fail, you are not just resisting a thought, you're building a new version of yourself. Because here's the thing. Your brain listens to your words. So when you say, I'm terrible at this, your mind doesn't argue, it obeys. But when you say, instead, I'm training this or I'm learning this, you're sending a new signal, one that rewires your identity in real time. It might sound small, but it's powerful. Let's make it real. Next time you catch yourself thinking, I'm just not good at public speaking, change it to I'm getting better every time I try. That shift. That's not fluff. That's neurology. That's identity under construction. And I get it, at first, it'll feel fake. You'll feel like you're lying to yourself. But listen carefully, it's not fake, it's practice. And like any skill, confidence grows where repetition lives. You don't need to believe the new script on day one. You just need to say it and say it again, until one day your mind doesn't flinch, your actions match your words, and the old voice, the one that said you're not enough, starts to fade like background static. That's how change happens, not with one lightning bolt of motivation, but with daily resistance against your former self. And each time you stand up to that voice, even a whisper of, "Not today," even a quiet, "That's not who I am anymore," that's a brick laid in the foundation of your future. Let me ask you this. If you could speak to the version of you 5 years from now, what would you want them to thank you for? What script do you want them to be living because of the rewrite you started today? Your words are not just sounds. They are spells, and you are the one who casts them. So stop reinforcing the identity you're trying to outgrow. Speak like the person you're becoming. Act like the person who no longer doubts. And write your new story one sentence at a time. Let's be honest, your comfort zone isn't keeping you safe. It's keeping you small. Most people think their comfort zone is some kind of mental cushion, a place where nothing bad can happen. But here's the hard truth. Your comfort zone isn't protecting you. It's preserving the exact version of yourself that you're trying to outgrow. The longer you stay in it, the tighter it grips you. Think about it. When was the last time comfort ever led to growth? When was the last time avoiding discomfort got you closer to the life you say you want? Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That's not just a quote, it's a war cry. He's telling us the thing you're avoiding, that's the exact direction you need to move toward. Every resistance, every fear, every hesitation, that's not a stop sign, that's a doorway. But you have to walk through it. You have to be willing to get burned, burn the old identity, the lazy habits, the excuses you cradle like heirlooms. If you want to change, you don't just need to leave the comfort zone, you need to set fire to it. That means doing what feels unnatural. It means saying yes to the thing that scares you, the thing that shakes your voice, the thing you'd normally avoid. Not because you're fearless, but because you're finally fed up with living beneath your potential. Let me ask you this. What's one thing you know would move your life forward, but you've been avoiding because it feels too much? Now ask yourself, what if too much is exactly what your next level requires? The comfort zone isn't neutral. It doesn't just sit quietly in the background. It rots you slowly. It convinces you that this version of you is all there is. Don't let it win. Step into the fire. Speak when you'd usually stay silent. Train when your body says rest. Launch before you feel ready. Because no one climbs with comfort. No one becomes who they were meant to be without first burning the old world down. So here's the challenge. Do one thing today, just one that your comfort zone hates. Let it shake you. Let it humble you. Because if it scares you, that means it matters. And if it matters, it's time. Let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. The future version of you, the stronger, wiser, more fulfilled version, is not waiting in some dream. It's buried beneath discomfort, under every drop of sweat, every disciplined choice, every action that your lazy self tries to avoid. You want to meet that version of yourself. Then you're going to need a shovel, because every time you do something difficult, when you wake up early, when you choose the gym over the couch, when you pick discipline over excuses, you are digging a grave for your old self. That version of you who procrastinates, who doubts, who hides behind fear and calls it being realistic. He doesn't belong in your future. He needs to be buried. Discipline isn't punishment. It's not about being hard on yourself for no reason. It's a burial ritual, a sacred act of laying to rest the weakness that's been holding you back. Every time you do the hard thing, you're saying, "This is who I am now, and I don't negotiate with my potential." Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's exhausting. But the question is, what hurts more, discipline or staying exactly where you are for the next 5 years? People talk about becoming their best self, but becoming isn't magic. It's labor, it's sweat, it's saying no to short-term comfort. It's showing up on the days you don't feel like it, especially on the days you don't feel like it. So ask yourself right now, what's the harsh thing you've been avoiding? What's one act of discipline that you've labeled as too much, but deep down you know it's the next step? Do that today, because every act of discipline is a shovel in your hand, and every shovel full of resistance you move gets you closer to the person you were born to be. The only question is, will you do the digging? Let me ask you something powerful, something most people never dare to face. Why are you still letting a ghost from your past sit at your dinner table? See, the past isn't your enemy. It's not even a monster. It's just a shadow, a memory that only grows teeth when you feed it with guilt, shame, and regret. Every time you replay that mistake, every time you say, I should have known better, or I'll never change because of what I've done, you're handing your power to something that no longer exists. And here's the brutal truth. The past has no power unless you keep resurrecting it. You are the one inviting it in again and again. That old version of you, it can't hurt you unless you keep dragging it into your present and pretending it belongs in your future. So what if you failed? So what if you messed up 10 times? You're not that person anymore unless you choose to keep being them. This is where real warriors are forged, not by avoiding pain, but by deciding that pain doesn't get to lead anymore. You can visit your past to learn, but you don't need to live there. You don't need to unpack your bags in a place that broke you. Because if the old version of you was powerful enough to survive all that, imagine what the new you can do once you stop carrying that dead weight. So tonight, when the voice comes, the one that whispers your old name, you tell it that chapter's closed, that story's done, and I'm not feeding ghosts anymore. The future belongs to those who bury the past with purpose. Let today be your shovel. Let's get brutally honest, because transformation never comes wrapped in comfort. Nobody's coming to save you. No guru, no mentor, no miracle. And here's the twist. That's not a punishment. It's a gift, because the day you stop waiting for rescue is the day you finally pick up your own sword. Let me challenge you with something powerful. Take a pen and write down 3 things in your life that you're unhappy with right now. Maybe it's your job, your health, a relationship that feels like a slow death. Now, and this is the hard part, ask yourself, how did I help create this? It's easy to blame. Blame your parents, the economy, your partner, your childhood trauma. But the moment you point fingers, you give away your power. True warriors don't outsource responsibility. They own it fully, even the ugly parts. Why? Because what you own, you can change, and what you avoid will own you forever. You see, responsibility isn't a weight, it's wings. It gives you something no external success ever will: self-respect. And self-respect is the fuel that makes discipline sustainable. Here's a personal truth. The biggest leaps I ever made in life didn't come from motivation. They came from moments of disgust. When I looked at my own life and said, this is on me. I did this, but I'm also the one who's going to fix it. That's the moment you stop being a victim of your story and start being the author. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So I'll leave you with this. What's one thing in your life right now that you've been avoiding responsibility for? What if just for today you stepped into the fire instead of running from it? Responsibility doesn't imprison you. It sets you free. Because when you realize it's your move, you take the damn shot. Let's get one thing straight. The old you is still sitting there, waiting. Waiting for motivation. Waiting for the perfect moment. Waiting to feel ready. And you know what? That version of you will wait forever. Because readiness is an illusion. It's a comforting lie that keeps people stuck in the same cycle for years. You don't become stronger by feeling ready. You become stronger by committing, especially when you don't. Think about this, the most powerful transformations you've ever seen. Did those people wait until they felt inspired? No, they moved while afraid. They acted through discomfort. They built discipline where motivation used to fail them. You see, there are two versions of you inside. One is ruled by emotion, waiting for the mood to be right. The other is driven by commitment, showing up no matter how it feels. Let me ask you, which one are you feeding every single day? Are you still telling yourself, I'll start when I feel more confident? I'll get serious once I'm less tired. I just need a sign. Here's the truth. Most people don't want to hear, you'll never feel fully ready to become the person you're meant to be. Because growth is uncomfortable by design. Because the old you will always resist being buried. But your future doesn't need your feelings, it needs your follow-through. Marcus Aurelius didn't wait for the mood to strike. He ruled an empire with discipline, not emotion. He said, just that you do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter. So if you're tired of being stuck, stop looking for inspiration. Start building identity through action. Even small actions, especially small ones, because every action you take is either a vote for the old you or the new one. Don't wait for the spark, be the fire. Now is not the moment to watch your life from the sidelines. Now is the time to step into the arena, bleeding, shaking, uncertain, and move anyway. Because momentum doesn't come to the inspired, it comes to the committed. Let me ask you something. What if you could build the strongest version of yourself one brick at a time? No, not overnight. Not with some magical morning routine or sudden burst of inspiration, but slowly, deliberately, with daily choices that feel boring hard, or even meaningless in the moment. Here's the truth. Every time you do the thing you said you would do, especially when you don't feel like it, you're laying a brick. Not just for a new habit, but for a new identity. Think of discipline like construction. Every push-up, every cold shower, every hour spent reading instead of scrolling, that's you, brick by brick, becoming someone different. And let's be honest, there will be days when motivation disappears, when your mind screams, just skip it today, no one's watching. But those are precisely the moments that matter most. Because the new you isn't built in the comfort zone. They're built in resistance, in that exact moment when quitting seems easy and you show up anyway. So here's your challenge. Pick just one habit, something small, something meaningful like stretching every morning, writing one sentence in a journal, or walking for 10 minutes after work. Then commit, no matter your mood, no matter your excuses. Do it, especially on the days you want to do it least. Because those days, that's where the real change is happening. That's when the bricks are strongest. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep showing up with the mindset. This is who I am now. I don't wait for feelings. I act from commitment. Every action is a vote. Every repetition is a brick. And brick by brick, day by day, you'll look up and realize you've built someone unrecognizable in the best possible way. Let's be honest, comfort is addictive. Warm beds, soft routines, predictable days. But here's what ancient Stoic philosopher Seneca understood, and what most people today have forgotten. Comfort makes you soft. He used to sleep on cold stone floors, wear coarse, itchy clothing, not because he had to, but because he knew something powerful. Discomfort is training. It wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Because here's the truth, if you don't choose hard things on your own terms, life will eventually force them upon you. And when that happens, it's always harder, always more painful, always on life's schedule, not yours. Ask yourself, when was the last time you did something uncomfortable on purpose? Walked in the rain without complaining, skipped a meal just to see how mentally clear you could feel, took the stairs when the elevator was right there. These little moments, they seem trivial, but they forge something deep inside you. They whisper to your brain, I don't need ease, I choose strength. You don't become strong by avoiding discomfort. You become strong by leaning into it, by choosing it before life chooses it for you. Discomfort is not your enemy. It's your rehearsal, your sharpening stone, your reminder that comfort is not the goal, capacity is. So today, choose something inconvenient, something a little rough, a little cold, a little harder than usual, not to punish yourself, but to remind yourself that you are capable of more than just surviving. You are being forged for resilience, for freedom, for power. Remember, the man who voluntarily walks through fire fears no flame. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you did something hard, not because you had to, but because it made you stronger? We often think discipline is punishment, like it's some kind of self-imposed suffering. But the truth is, discipline is freedom in disguise. Because every time you choose to do the hard thing, wake up early, take a cold shower, skip a comfort meal, say no to a toxic habit, you're not just checking a box. You're building self-command. You're telling your body, your cravings, even your fears, you don't get to drive this ship. I do. Seneca didn't discipline himself to suffer. He did it so life couldn't catch him off guard, so that when hardship showed up, he'd already met it face to face, on his own terms. Here's a challenge. Once a week, do one thing that feels uncomfortable. Fast for a day. Sleep without the AC. Take a freezing shower. Turn off your phone for 24 hours. Refuse the scroll. Refuse the shortcut. You don't do this because you enjoy pain. You do it to prove that you are in charge. You do it to hear that inner voice get quieter every time you say, I act from purpose, not emotion. Discipline isn't about restriction. It's about direction. And the person who can command themselves cannot be commanded by the world. So go ahead, choose one small challenge this week, not to punish yourself, but to honor your potential. Because discipline isn't what breaks you, it's what builds the version of you that can't be broken. There comes a moment, not dramatic, not loud, when something inside you simply breaks away. And not in weakness, but in decision. A moment where you finally say, I will never be that version of me again. Not the one who made excuses, not the one who waited for motivation, not the one who lived on autopilot, trapped in comfort, shackled by fear. The old self doesn't die in rage. It dies in quiet resolve. When you choose discipline over comfort, standards over emotions, purpose over permission, every disciplined action, every early morning, every hard choice, every time you act without feeling ready, is another handful of dirt you throw over the coffin of your past self. Because you're not here to live soft. You're here to live strong, and strength begins with a standard. So here's your declaration. Say it out loud. If you feel it in your soul, I buried the old me today. I no longer ask permission from my feelings. I lead. I act. I rise by choice, not emotion. This is not the end. This is the beginning. Now step forward as the one you were always meant to become.